All
Okay,
right.
got it.
Got it. All right. So last time we were talking about what we did to prepare for birth, right? And then we got on here and was like, wait, what did we say? Like, I think it was like this thing of like, we've been pretty health conscious and just live holistic lives, holistic mamas, partners. And so some of the stuff is just like second nature, like it's what we do, right? And it's just like basics. So it's kind of hard to talk about like what did we do to prepare. For me, I think some stuff was kind of like a little bit fresh because some of the birth clients I work with are like um, asking some of these questions. But otherwise, we were just like, wait, what? So anyway, we asked the question on Instagram and we got some back. So we were gonna touch on some of those. So this is what are we on episode 2, and
So
we had our
two.
first talk about like midwives. Well, you can see, you know what the first one was about. But so I'm back with Sharma, the Enema advocate, mucus-less diet practitioner, and natural mama. Two, her second boy is like a month older than my baby. So we have like my baby is about to be 2 months, and so Into is about 4, about to be 4, close to 4, something like that. So yeah, so okay, what we did to prepare. So the first question I got, and I'll go from here because last time we kind of was all over different places. So I'll use some of the questions to help direct us. So one of the questions I got was for a first time home birth, what supports do you recommend? So I think coming from just like the birth worker doula side of me, I would say my first thought is like birth, when birth is actually happening. And so I would say get a birth worker in your area, like near a birth worker, meaning a doula, or if you have a midwife, like try to look for a holistic midwife, um, like somebody who supports and really trusts the natural process of birth. And like, I think someone who also may have like they have no fear around birth. So like if you go to them, like if you have something going on during labor that may get you like off balance and you worked up, someone who's able to like kind of help ground you back, and more so just by their energy making you feel like comfortable. So I know like some people decide to do the home birth midwives, who honestly a lot of times, like we were talking about in the first episode, is like some of them could be just the same as a doctor because they're kind of trained under the same system. And then you may find a more holistic midwife. And also what I would like to say about that too is like don't underestimate like the I don't want to say like kind of like underground midwives or like birth workers who um even midwives who may not have a license. Like they may have been trained, don't have a license, but I would just say somebody who knows. So like you should do the research if you feel like you are not in a space to do like the whole research and find out like all the medical sleep. Well, I have to be talking anyway. If you're not going to be doing all the research to find out like what you should expect and stuff from your body after birth, um, have somebody who does know like okay what to do if you happen to start bleeding or um, things like that. Like so you're just not. I wouldn't say just go into it. Um, So if you are not in a mental space, or you just feel like you don't want to do all that for yourself, like I guess unassisted for both of us, we could tell our experiences with that. But I know like when I watched the end of my video, I said like I caught my baby and put him on me, and then I was like, okay, any more bleeding? Like, do you see any bleeding? Like, cause it's like you can get caught up looking at your baby. You need to just be sure, like, to watch there too or feel. So I feel like some women may be scared to play that role in their own birth, even though it's really not. But some women may be. So if you're not, but you feel like you do trust like the whole process and you want a holistic spiritual, like you want that experience for your birth, then definitely be more mindful of what birth workers you choose. Because like we talked about last time, the birth workers, midwife can be just as medical as your OB if you are not, mindful in like how you're choosing. So I would say a supportive birth worker. So even if you are going to have a midwife, like say you're just like, I do kind of want that care. Like I do want somebody there. Because what I've learned too is some women, they want that, right? Like they want someone there to listen to their baby, check their blood pressure, like do those things because they may not be in a space yet where they're just like, I'm doing it by myself. Like I'm good. My body's fine, So even if you are going to have a midwife or somebody medically trained to do that, have a birth worker who like have a balance. So like just say like have a balance in your support team. So have a doula or somebody who is holistic to kind of remind you like, hey, you're good. It's a natural process. Don't get so caught up in the numbers and all those type of things. So if you're gonna have that, and then so that's like during birth, and then it's like the immediate after birth can be hectic, like, and then you're tired, so you just want to get to bed. There might be a lot of cleanup. So I would say like have somebody, even if you do decide to go unassisted, like just have somebody that's gonna help you with the overall upkeep and cleaning of the of the space. Because that part can just be like, it's so much easier, like to just be like, okay, hold the baby while I step out the tub, while I do that, like you don't think about all that stuff until it's going on. Well, you do, but sometimes you don't. And so it can be, right? Like, I don't know, how long would you say it took after y'all did so like you push the baby on the bathtub, and how long do you feel like it took to get settled down? Do you even know that? Because the time goes so crazy.
After I pushed the baby out, Ziggy was holding the baby and hanging out with Zoe. And the whole time I was still in the shower. I was just like, I can't get out. I can't get out. Only because like I was so warm and I felt so light at the same time. I'm just like, I can't move unless someone like gets me out of this shower, because after the birth, I took a shower because I was already in the shower.
Shower. Yeah, that I did that too. And just like transferring from the shower to the bed, and then making sure like Lou was back straight. It was nice to have like some help so he finally could focus on getting his mind back together. So yeah, even after birth, like even if you are assistant, like doing an assistant, and you want to push your baby out with nobody else there, like just have somebody be on call, like, hey, the baby just came out. They over there like helping you get things back cleaned up and your tea and that kind of stuff together. Because I really appreciated that. And even like after that first day, like after the immediate birth, but even just the next few days, like getting someone lined up to help with your first child, if you have, or if you have other children. And because having a home birth, I think you don't want to, I think it leaves you like you need more time to just like, wow, I just did this, and like let that sink in. So like give yourself like those 30 to 40 days of being in the house being like, wow, I just did this, like, and I did it at home. Like, so really just enjoy that time and let it sink in. So like I would say getting people just preparing and thinking about what you're going to be eating. Like for the next few weeks, you just want to take something, even if it's like just pulling something out the freezer, having it defrost to put it in the pot, or having somebody like making you soups and they can drop it to you. Or if you have other people like your partner in the house, just learning how to make, printing out some recipes, getting it together for them to be able to cook for you so you can be like really take that rest period. So I would say supportive birth worker, um, to have like during the birthing process and immediately after birth. And then like after birth, like for your weeks, like having somebody to, yeah. You have anything?
Yeah, I just have to say, for some people who don't have support, or let's say a doula who does not want to support an unassisted birth, you know, definitely like having things there, like Brittany was just saying about food, you know, like having maybe a meal train, lots of towels, you know, water, like anything that you think you will need and baby would need, like a blanket after birth and whatnot. Like, I think right now, like, it's also learning about how can you be a doula to yourself and a midwife to yourself, you know.
Yeah.
It sucks. It really does. And it does help to have support, but when you don't, and it's either just you that want to do that kind of birth and not your partner, like it's gonna be hard. But I say, like, educate yourself, get anything that you would need to feel like prepared for after the birth, you know, cleaning up and whatnot. I mean, you don't have to clean up like right away kind of thing, but like just make sure that you have those things to make you feel prepared. Again, like towels, water, blankets, you know, food ready for baby, or if you have children, you know, so like meal prepping before you give birth, for after birth,
Yeah.
you know, would definitely help if you don't have support.
Yeah. The supportive part is very like that's so vital. I didn't have that same support for when I birthed Kamalu. And honestly, it was way different because it was only one. So he finally was like on it. Like it was I really couldn't find anything for anybody to really help with. So even when my doula did check on me and my cousin, it was like, you could just come hang out with me type of thing. This time I was like, I need some help. Like we need the floor cleaned, bathroom needs to be wiped down. Like, and then there was still things to do. So like this time it's like universe really gives you what you need. And like I've always said, like just watching my life, how everything like spirit has guided me every step, like everything was just put in place as I needed it, like at that time. So like for Tonya, we needed the extra support because Kamalu is like in the heat of this 3-year-old boy stage, like needing to be outside. And then he finally, I don't think either one of us realized how much energy it would take from, it would require of him to be just him and Kamalu. So it was like some days I was like, oh my gosh, he's so tired. But then he still has to bring me my tea. He has to warm my food because I really wasn't even walking in the room. Like I was like, this is like I'm staying in the bed. For at least the first 2 weeks, I stayed just like around the bed. And so he just brought my food. After 2 weeks, I took my first little walk and like stay in the living room. But like it requires a lot from just him to take care of Lou and then to try to take care of me too. So I feel like that extra support after, it's like, just do it. Just like invest in it some type of way. And it makes you it makes you a more calm mother and like settle into your role more gracefully. And the other thing, I didn't want to forget the preparing before, like if you are going to do unassisted, I always say too, like more if you choose that way, you're most likely already in this um kind of like your holistic life, getting back to your holistic self, like being aware of what you're putting into your body and just being aware of your body and the feelings and stuff. So I think for the most part, most home birth moms may already be on it, but if you are new, kind of like just being aware of the different herbs and how they really are here for us and take care of our bodies, and our bodies can heal themselves of anything. Most likely, more than likely, it's with any herbs you may be taking, and then changing like something that you may be eating. So if you are going to a midwife or somebody medical trained and they're just like, oh, you have this going on. I feel like sometimes we may still be in the space of thinking, oh, well, I just have this, so I have to go to the doctor, I have to get this. Well, just having that trust in yourself and saying like, I can actually, learn what this is and change what I'm putting into my body, one, and then find herbs that can help with this. And that'll help you a lot too with sticking to your like home birth plan, so nothing kind of like comes in the way of that. And then like just getting your body prepared. So like if you're taking care of your body, eating what you're supposed to, or like how you're supposed to, which is a lot of foods with chlorophyll, like fresh foods, then when it's time for birth, your body is more ready to do the job it was created to do, right? And like you've given it all the things that it needed for your body to. I always say the biggest things that comes into my head, like when you birth, is like the biggest thing is for you to clot up, like your blood to stop, and then for your baby, like your baby being okay, right? So like really just you kind of knowing what to do to take care of your body so that everything is strong and to prevent those things. So at the end, I know one of my favorites was nettles and raspberry leaf. Those two were two of my main herbs I would take for both of them, that started preparing my body, like my blood, to have all the things it needed for it to do what it was supposed to do after my baby was released. And yeah, those are my favorite herbs. If you have any to share. Yeah.
And what did you do to prepare for a lotus birth?
Oh
And
yeah.
why did you choose a lotus birth?
So I chose a lotus birth because I like to give the baby like all the time on it, because I feel like it's also an emotional, not just like I know they say, and a lot of moms just say like, oh, I heard it's healthier for the baby if you leave it for this amount of minutes. And I'm like, not really about the minutes and like the time necessarily, but yes, they're getting all the rest of their blood and all their nutrients, but then also I think on a spiritual side, like they're getting something from being still attached to it too. And like they've been on this thing for like it's been developing and being created just for them, especially in that first trimester when it's like sometimes so uncomfortable for the mom. So I feel like to just detach them from it, for me, I just wanted to take my time. And I noticed with Kamalu, we asked him like, is it okay? Like, are you ready for us to detach it? And for this baby, I wanted it to just be like, I wanted to just let everything just take its natural course. And I love seeing the herbs on it too, like the herbs absorbing to the placenta. And so to prepare for it, I just bought like extra pads, check pads. Yeah, to keep it dry and things like throughout the next few days that we did it, or like the days that it will require like stay on. And then my doula client gifted me herbs, so I didn't have to buy a lot, but I made sure I had herbs in the house and salt, like pink Himalayan salt. I made sure I had in the house and like extra herbs. Yeah, so those are the main things I did to prepare. Just ordered herbs and kept the salt in the house and the chuck pads. What'd you do?
Nice. I ordered a lot of herbs for my
What kind did
favorite
you
herb
use?
house.
Did you do like a big mix?
The first time I did it, like I wasn't tracking anything like my birth or whatnot. So with Zoe, when he was born, the only herbs we had in the house was Ziggy's lung cleanser herbs, and it smelled so bad. It was so bad. I forget what it was, but it was like echinacea and like I don't know, robelia,
Yeah.
and some other herbs, but they were so dang. So this time I actually prepared for this Lotus birth and I got like calendula, rose petals, mother's wort, St. John's wort, lavender, marshmallow root, just any herb that would smell nice. I think I got mint, lemongrass, and others. But mostly salt. We made sure that we had salt to help dry out the placenta, to help dry it out. But it was really pretty this time and it did not smell bad. It was not as sticky.
That was one of my favorite parts is the well, the lavender. Lavender is my favorite. It's like my new favorite, like within the last, I don't know, like less than a year. But lavender on the placenta, oh my goodness. I know every time I woke up to breastfeed the baby and I had to switch him over, I would just like get a whiff of it, like, oh, it smells so good. So lavender was one of the ones we put in there. Rose and rosemary. There's this bush, so I always love rosemary. There's this lady has this farm around the corner, this little garden space, and she has a rosemary bush and it's huge. So I had harvested some from there. Well, I think Lou got it for me when he went on a walk. And so I put that and a lot of salt. Calendula I did use, but in the mix, I don't know exactly what was in it, but I did use like lavender was my favorite one. That was my favorite. And then I think that was it. That's all I had to prepare for Lotus birth. And then, so look, the other question was, okay, so I think we kind of answered some of this too. Like, how did you mentally prepare for the 40 days? So I think part of that mentally preparing was making sure that some things were going to be okay. Like as far as Kamalu and mainly my food, like and my herbs, because so Ifeanyi could have time to focus just on him and Kamalu. And then by me having food, he didn't have to prepare like extra things for me. Me having food meant me and the baby are okay. Him and Luke could do their own thing. And so that was a big part of mental prep. And then also like I did think a lot, like whenever I would get bored or kind of like feel like I was even thinking about like, oh, I should just walk in the kitchen and get this. Like I would just have this vision of like just my organs and like you just did a whole lot and we're trying to get back like like as they were before. We're trying to get back settled down. So like you need to take it slow. So I would think a lot about like I just had like this vision of that. That's what reminded me to slow down. And that's the other thing. Yeah, and then a lot of times I message my friends and I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, baby. Oh, my finger slipped and hit him. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, Brittany beating up her baby.
Baby.
I'm joking.
I had to clip my nails the other day because they were too long. I'm sorry. I'm gonna check them. So, what was I saying? The other thing, I forgot. It threw me off. I'm sorry. I don't remember what I was talking about. I lose track fast.
Oh, that's okay. So for your 40 days off, recuperating, what did you do for food?
So I told my friend set up the meal train. And they just kind of asked like what foods I would like. And so I had told them I wanted like a lot of soups, like warm things. I like curry. So I got a lot of like chickpea curries and hydrating soups and a lot of drop-offs of coconut water and different fruits because I was starting my days with fruits. So they would ask me and I would just say, like any organic fruits you could find, that's good. And so they were dropping me off a lot of that fruits, coconut water, and soups, and like stews, like lentil stews. And so I had a lot of that. So that kept me down in the bed. And then like I remember the other thing I was gonna say is like I would message certain friends that already had multiple children. They'd be like, trust me, just enjoy this time because like I did know that when I got up and moving, it was gonna be like, oh my goodness, managing 2 children. So like it wasn't gonna be like walking around this quiet house with this one baby, like with Lou. So that too made me a lot of times like just chill and like just be like, enjoy this time, like really be present and just enjoy this time with just him when I don't have 2, because literally that 40 days, it went fast. It went pretty. I started getting bored like week 3, but when I think about it now, it's like, wow. Like I think we were like a day or 2 past 40 days before I even realized that like it was up and over and I can go out. So yeah, I think that, and then for me, like we don't like to watch a lot of TV. But some of the times like I had to suck it up and like Lou would be on TV, like screen time more than I wanted. But it was also just being gentle with myself in the process so I can just relax too and not being like, we need to be outside, but it's like, who's like, how are you gonna do that? You can't be outside in the sun and plus it's cold. So I think birthing in November helped a lot too. Because it was too chilly to be out. Yeah.
Yeah, I hated that about a fall baby because my first baby, I had a summer baby and it was perfect. We were out, we were chilling, we're with the sun, we were with the elements, But this baby, I'm just like, oh, it's so
Yeah.
cold. Like I didn't know how to dress him or anything. I'm just like, is he too hot? Is he too cold? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot. So let me see. How did you prepare for 40 days? Let me see. Okay, another one was, okay, what were some affirmations that you held? Well, either that or who was on part of your support team? We can answer who's part of your support team first.
Yikes.
Who was part of your
To be
support?
honest, it was like my internet friends.
Yeah.
More than like real life people because okay, hold on. I think Zoe wants to answer that question. Who was my
Oh, it spit up on me. So my support was that's spit up. Oh, you back? You want to go? You want to keep going?
Oh, okay, sure. it was pretty much you know, we were talking about our birth and whatnot and what we wanted our birth to be like. And Ziggy, my partner, you know, like that was my support. Oh, and okay, and Tara. I am so sorry. She's a doula that I found at the end, like going towards the end of my pregnancy, just helping me with what can you say, like making me feel confident in my ability to give birth on my own without having anyone like watching me, like keeping time, like, okay, it's been 12 hours, I'm gonna get the knife, um you know. So that was
Yeah.
really good. What about
Yeah,
you?
our support, I would say it was my sister friends who towards the end, when I towards the end, well, yeah, towards the end when I started getting more like births about to happen, what made a lot of what helped me calm down a lot and manage that was like our Sunday dinners. We would get together. And one of my friends had just given birth in the summer, and so like just having them around to like support this thing I was doing and actually being excited about it, like, oh, we can't wait to meet the baby, but none of the whole like, well, what are you going, like, are you going to see a doctor, are you going to do this, are you going, like, it was just like, you know, it was just felt refreshing to be around them, and they just like excited for this thing and excited to witness it. Definitely you, because I think you were one of the first ones that started being comfortable talking about more like, okay, all the way unassisted, like haven't been to the doctor. So like, what are you doing? Like, how you feeling? That kind of checking in was like really important for me. And to stay grounded and not get too like caught up, I feel like too. Um, I was going to some births and I know one birth I was at, and like the woman's pushing, and the OB is like, "Who's your? Oh, you're pregnant. She's like, who's your midwife?" And I was like, I don't want to say like I don't have one not coming here because I feel like sometimes I don't know. I didn't want the judgments. I didn't want anything. So I don't remember what I told her. She was like, oh, I can recommend you some, and I was like, I don't want any, like any that you're gonna recommend. She told me a name of one. It was like, she's really good. And I was like, thank you. But a few of them asked me that, and I was just like, I don't want to talk about this. So it was really like refreshing too to come talk to somebody else who I knew was like doing all the way unassisted too. Um, and so my sister friends, you and Ifeanyi. So like when you talk about physical support too, like who did I ask to actually be here? Was I knew from the beginning, like I just wanted Ifeanyi, my cousin Bird, and my sister friend Brooke and Kamalu. So that's all who I had asked and like planned to be here. So you have to stay tuned for my birth story to find out like how all that went. But it was just them. And it was like that I trusted that my sister friends were not going to be afraid. I knew they were going to support me, like just be there to support. And I asked them mainly to be here, like to help with Kamalu and just like the flow of things in the house. Whether it's keeping my altar, he pooped. So keeping my like whether my altar candles that needed to be lit or like water coming, like things like that, just kind of like helping Ifeanyi to support me too. Yeah, and then like the immediate afterbirth, like that's when they helped us like the most because it was just like I think it took an hour for my placenta to come. And so just like in that time of like waiting and like it seems like it's so much going on when it's really just your emotions because it's not that much going on. Like the baby's just there, you're waiting for the placenta. But like in my head, I just remember like somebody's going to make me tea, somebody's cleaning up these pads, somebody's doing this. And really it's probably like more like relaxed than that. but I remember after birth is when I was really like, oh my goodness, like I'm so happy they were here. I'm so happy they came. So yeah, but that was it in my support team. You find my two, like for the birth, they find my two sister friends, and those were it. And come on. And so for after birth, I know like for me, just thinking like, okay, emergency, like you always think of like if something goes a different way. I don't want to say like goes wrong, because whatever, everything just is like, so whatever may happen, that's not the norm, I guess. I had 2 herbs, which I think I shared in that video of like what I had gotten to prepare, which was like, no, I had 3 different herbs, but 2 of them were just like if you bleed more than usual, you could take a tincture of that or like have the tea made already. And then like if the baby is needing some support with breathing, there's another tea you can like rub on their chest and on their nose. But other than that, yeah, that was it. And let me see. So who was already part of your support team? Okay, so that was it for us. We did not have the doctors. We weren't doing blood work and all that stuff. And I feel like most of all, we were we were our own main support people, like checking in with our bodies, spending intentional time with ourselves to know like if something is off. I know for me, I would just ask him a lot, like, are you okay? Like, what do you need mama to do? And in my, like, I remember you was telling me one time, like, you have such a beautiful relationship with the universe. And I was just thinking like, that's a good way of putting it, because that's really what the universe is like communicating to you all the time. You just have to listen to it. So I feel like the same when I would check in with Tonya and be like, what do you need mama to do? What do you need me to eat? Like, what herbs do you need? And like if that herb came up, or if I don't know, like read about it or just was feeling a certain way, like making sure I listened to my body and took those herbs. That was a part of like preparing for birth and preparing for birth and making sure like nothing, that everything just happened in a good flow, like just the way it was supposed to. So what were some of the affirmations that we held during birth? I know you used some of Queen of Fears. Oh wow. He's pooping more. Using some of Queen of Fears. I read through those affirmations a lot towards, well, they're like the middle and the end, just to remind me of like what I was doing, like this powerful being I was holding aside, like just as hers kind of, I feel like just remind you of like the sacredness of the womb, and like that helped me a lot towards the end. And then some of the other affirmations, I had wrote them down because in that post. But I know one of the things was like telling my body is strong and healthy. My body was made to expand, to release my baby, and to contract. That was one of the biggest things. It was just like, I remember that coming in my head during labor, like my body knows what it's doing, it's gonna open. Like that's what this intensity of it is, like it's opening and it's going to know how to close. Everything's gonna be well. So I told myself that a lot. And that my baby is strong and healthy. Another one was that my baby knows how to communicate with me. My baby will tell me what he needs in order for him to come to me. And those were the main ones like that stood out. Like when she asked that question, that I remember like repeating towards the end and like during labor. That really helped me.
Yeah, I know that everything is an affirmation. And with that kind of power, my partner would say to me, like, don't focus on like an emergency or what can go wrong, because that will be the outcome. Like focus on like what the type of birth that you want, instead of what you don't want. So that's what I was thinking about the entire time. I'm just like, I just want my home birth, man. I just want my home birth.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Mhm.
it's gonna happen. I always say, like, at births, when I go to births, when I know that when I have this feeling of like everything is well, it's like I'll get there and kind of feel it out. I'll literally have a vision of them like at this point of like catching their baby and putting the baby to the chest, like all is well, baby is here, you're fine. So like having that vision even before the mom is like in like super intense labor, because what you envision and what you feel, you will manifest it. And so yeah, that's important too. Most of all, like more than anything, is to have that it's comfortable now, ready to sleep. Having that vision for yourself and knowing that, yeah, everything's an information. May have to change it. Let me see. What else did I want to? You ready for mom to change it? How did you mentally prep? We did that, and then how did you? Okay, like this was one that I thought was funny. How do you tune? How do you keep yourself in tune during transition? And I feel like transition feels so chaotic, like you don't feel like you're keeping yourself in tune. But I guess when I look back at my birth,
Wait,
I
what
can
was
see
the question?
how do you keep yourself in tune during transition? So, wait, you want to pause it? All right, so the other question, another one was, how do you keep yourself in tune during transition? And for me, and like what I tell all my clients out, I just say, for me, I have this voice in my head that's just like, it literally was just replaying, like, just keep breathing, breathe, just breathe, just breathe. And it's like, you have to take, for me to do like a full deep breath, I have to focus all my energy just on breathing. So for me, it's just like I'm tuning in on that, and that's it. And your body's just doing the pushing itself. So that's how I stay in tune. And I know a lot of my doula clients, when they get to that point, I'm just kind of like, I don't talk a lot, but because I feel like it's simple, just breathe. Like all you really need to do is just breathe. Like I know I've been at births and like the nurses and stuff, they're all saying all these things like, you're doing great, you're doing a great job, mom, and da, da, da. And it's like too much. Like sometimes it's too much. And it's like, look, just breathe. You know, like sometimes you do need to hear that. But what I'm saying is sometimes hospital is overload. Like, look, let me focus on my breath. Like I'm hearing too much. But yeah, that's it for me. Just focusing on my breath.
Nice. I had a lot of back labor. So yeah, I was suffering, man. Okay, that sounds horrible, but
It was
I just
intense.
felt really uncomfortable with the back labor because I never had that my first birth. My first birth was like easy peasy lemon squeezy, you know? Like doing the whole like I just totally expected it to be like my first birth for some reason and just easy and short. My first birth was short, you know? This birth it was from when I messaged you that like my mucus plug was coming out. And I was like, okay, it's coming, it's coming. You know, so I was feeling waves and whatnot. And then like when the contractions were mostly in my back, I had a hard time like with anything. So what I would do was actually do yoga the entire time. So like whenever I would have like back like labor, I would just be like stretching, you know, like okay, Like he actually made me a yogi out of this, you know? So I feel like for me, eventually I ended up going into the bath and like having the water on me. Like I just was thinking about like celestial waters and whatnot. Like I am being birthed as well, you know. um as well. Oh, uh yeah, that was how I stayed in tune, was with water, to be honest. Like I'm just like, I just need to be in water right now. Like when like I'll go through anything emotional, I would actually just be like, I need to go take a shower. You
Yeah,
know? So that's how I knew like baby was coming soon, you know? Um
yeah, that water.
yeah.
Yeah, I use
Mhm.
water a lot. I thought I would actually be in the water when he was making this transition to this side, but then the water wasn't done in time, like it wasn't warm. But before, when labor was actually active and I didn't know, I spent a lot of time in the bathtub. Like I think I spent about maybe 2 hours just laying in the tub and like letting the water like spray over my body. And when I got out, I feel like that's when things were like progressing, but it felt so good. So water helps a lot. And actually part of
Mhm.
prep, like going back to that, like that was actually another thing I did. I went and took offerings, and gave
Mhm.
thanks to Enema for like bringing my baby here, like well and healthy. I think about a few days before I gave birth to him, like I was like, I need to go to the water. And I went to the bayou. So even things like that is part of your prep. Like don't underestimate doing that kind of work too before, like the power of that, before you birth your baby. So yeah, that was another part of prep. And then what would be, let me see. I feel like I missed one. Oh, and then someone asked, okay, so if you have a home birth and you're doing like this unassisted like we did, you will probably encounter this is like about birth certificates. So if somebody was asking, does the baby need a birth certificate? And my first baby, Kamalu has one. This baby I'm working on going a different route. So no, they don't. That's the short answer. They don't need one. So later, I guess if you have questions about like the process, like how it went, I'll be able to share because we're still in the process of doing his we chose to do an affidavit of birth. And then we still just need like documents that will be able to travel out the country. So we'll like see how that process goes. But yeah, you can reach out and ask me if you want to see like how I did the affidavit of birth and how that went. But no, baby doesn't need social security number or birth certificate if you do not want those things. Like you have an option, you have options. How
Yeah,
about
and like she just said, Brittany just can travel, the baby can travel without any of that birth certificate or social insurance. Yeah.
yeah, those were all the questions. I think if you want to know, I guess more specific things or things may have came up, the message either one of us, I can help do some, like I'm not back at birth just yet. I think my first birth I'll be back is probably around March. But like if there are questions or things like that, I can take messages, emails, or even messaging. We can do like a phone call. You can ask me questions. I do that type of work too with moms. I love educating moms, like especially when it's their first time doing births, and they're just like, some of them like I've had 2, 3 babies. They've all been in the hospital. So how do I do this? I love it. Like sometimes we're on the phone for like over an hour, and I just met this mom. I'm just like, nope, you can have the option to do this, and I like that kind of work. And it's funny, like you have OBs that have been practicing for years and they won't even, like, you'll hear stuff that you've never heard about, like just the natural process of birth, and be surprised. So yeah, reach out if you have birth workers in your area. If you don't, there's always, like the social media. It's a lot of people on here you can connect with and get a lot of information. So just utilize those tools if that's all you have too. Yeah, so I think I wrote on YouTube, I have like, if you want like little sessions like that, just donation based, where you can hop on and ask questions or just get some other resources, or just somebody to talk to about your journey. And then I know you were in like a group on Facebook, right?
Yeah. The unassisted pregnancy and unassisted home birth group. You can definitely look that up for some support if you are having a hard time finding it in real life. You can talk to moms that have had home births and unassisted pregnancies and home births in real life and get their support on it. So yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a good resource. And then
Just look at that was
what'd you say?
just look up groups online. Look
Yeah,
at specific things that you're into as well.
yes.
And I have to say, for preparing for an unassisted pregnancy and unassisted home birth, support is definitely an understatement. You need people that have your back. So don't forget that you're interviewing a midwife, you're interviewing a doula, they're working for you. You're not working for them. And yeah, have people that will have your back.
And making sure people will honor exactly, like if you have a feeling of something, like two moms just recently, like in the past month, 2-3 months, have had the situation where doctors are telling them my baby's too small, and the mom is saying like, I feel like my baby's okay. Like honoring that what you feel is a valid thing, not just giving over that trust in yourself because they have technology, like these machines. So yeah, that's important. And yeah, educating yourself as much as possible on the process. Because like I said, if you don't know, then anybody can tell you anything about your own body because you don't know, you haven't taken the time to see just how it works, what's happening with your body while it's pregnant and carrying this baby. So yeah, a lot of education. And then yeah, keeping people who may have negative thoughts about your natural birth or just birthing even in general, just keeping them away. And if you don't want to share your birth plans with them, just don't, like, especially if they're gonna have something negative to say about it, or like, oh, well, what if this happens? And what if that? Like, you don't even have space for that. Just focus on what you need to focus on. If for some reason, like, you feel like this is just calling you, like, to birth naturally and to birth, like you have this vision of the way birth should go for you, there's a reason why that vision is coming to you, and it means that it is possible. Like if you have the vision, it's possible, like you can manifest it. And so just don't let anybody make you afraid of that. Like don't let anybody put that fear into you that birth needs to be this thing that's super like looked at from medical people, and they need to do this to my body and they need to do that, and oh, my baby should have this checkup right after birth. Like nobody, no. Like says who. So you dictate like your birth and how healthy you want to be during your pregnancy. Like, how do you want this experience to go? And do your research and find out, get the resources that you need, and, birth your baby the way you want to. Yeah. I feel like the more kind of like mindful you are about the people in your birth space, the better your birth outcomes are. So like I knew for Lou, I knew that I wanted support women in the house. Like, so I had Ifeanyi, and then I had 3 women, and they were doing like, I feel like just their energy really helped me, and they taught me a lot about birth. Just by
So
them
can
being
you
there.
repeat that?
I was saying for my birth that I had 3 support women. Like I knew I wanted support of other women in the house because it was our first time, and they taught me a lot. Like just them being there, being able to like only focus on my body and not worry about anything else going on in the house. Like, they got the towels, they got the waters going in the tub. They like everything is okay. All I have to do is think about myself, like what I'm feeling. And so that left me in a space to be able to like absorb a lot and learn a lot from even just the way they were in my birth space. But when it came time for Tonya, it was like I knew that I didn't want, like I didn't want that. So I would say to just being aware of like what you really, really want. So don't make a decision. Like for Lou, I did pick a OB because I felt like, okay, I do want this homework, but I also think like just to be on the safe side, like let me just keep up with like going to the doctors and going to see an OB. And like, even though they never touched me or did very much that I didn't want them to do, it was still energy going into that place and like sitting down talking to this lady when I knew I wasn't going there. So it would be like I'll be sitting there and I didn't tell her I was birthing at home. I just made her think that I was just, like gonna go to the hospital when I got pregnant. So she had no idea that I was having like a whole midwife, like seeing a midwife, and I had to do that at home. So for me, it just took energy like to do that. Where this time I was like, I don't want to do that. Like my decision is to birth my baby at home. I don't want to go see anybody. I want to like just pay attention to my own body. So being able to just do that freely, it felt really good. So having people in your immediate like support group that is gonna be excited with you on this journey and like not make you feel judged in any way. And if they are, just don't talk to them about your birth. Change the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do also have to say that birthing is, or giving birth to another being is like something that you can't really prepare for. It's definitely a mental thing, so you have to make sure that you have the right attitude when you're going into this, right? So it is not just physical but spiritual, like how do you talk to yourself like throughout the whole pregnancy, and how will you talk to yourself when things don't go your way? As in, for me, like I had my first birth like maybe 3 to 4 hours of labor, and then my next baby, my recent baby, it was like, I don't know, like 7 hours, 7 to 10 hours or something like that. And like I did feel defeated at some point, and I did thankfully have a support system, which was my partner, to remind me of my power and to surrender. Like, what you have to learn is to surrender to the waves of uncomfortability, not knowing what's going to happen other than your body is just naturally going to do this. Like you don't have to do anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
Other than
You
have a
just
good
have to breathe.
attitude. Exactly. Like it
Yeah.
sounds so simple. It sounds so simple, but like just thinking about like how uncomfortable you are, like you're just holding on to that breath, right? Like you haven't fully exhaled and whatnot. Like, so like Brittany said, like remember to breathe. Like it's as easy as breathing, you know, but when we think about it too much, that's where complications happen, you know? So just be aware of that.
Yeah. Yep. Just breathing. Breathing goes a long way. Yeah.
When I see your birth, I was like, wow, like who is she? Where did she come from? You know, like you're out of this world,
There you go.
you know?
Yeah.
Like she's right here telling you to breathe.
And my
Just
friend was
breathe.
saying, like, what kind of surrendering is that? She was like, if you and my other friend had just birthed her baby. He's like, she birthed maybe 5 months before me. She birthed the same way, like so quiet through the whole thing, like from labor, like the beginning till pushing out the baby the same way. And she was like, what kind of surrendering is that? Like if y'all taught a class on how to surrender, like I would definitely take it. And I'm like, what happens? Like,
Yes.
where are you mentally? And then also you're in a different realm. Like you're just in between two. And I think, I don't even know. I was just thinking, what do I feel in that moment? And it's just like, it feels crazy. And so I think for me to deal with that is just like breathe. And it just puts me in this calm place, but it just feels like so chaotic. Like, whoa, like this is so much bigger than me. I have like, what do I do with my body? You don't know what to do with your body. Like just breathe. That's the only thing you kind of control right now. But I think just that prep and just, another thing though too that I did was, and I said this with Lou too, is like I read a lot of birth stories. That just kept me like when I would get to a point of being like, oh my gosh, like whoa, like a contraction coming and feeling like, oh my gosh, like that peak. And just always reminding myself, like, women have done this, your body is made to do it, like just reading, I think 2 weeks before, that's how I knew he was about to come, is because I started wanting to read like birth stories that I had read already before, like when I was with Lou. And I was going to births. Like I think my last birth was like 2 weeks or something before he was born. But I was just like, I just need to get into my own birth zone, like where I was with Kamalu. And I just started reading birth stories. And those just helped me remind me of like the power we have and like the work that our bodies do is like, we really do this. Like, this is what our bodies do. So it wasn't making me get like out of control, because this labor did feel a lot different than Lotus. Like Kamalu, I feel like I didn't experience pain. Like I always say, I did not experience pain with him. But this one, it was just like, whoa, like this one is feeling different. Like I feel some things and I was like, oh my gosh, that one hurt. And then I was like, oh my, I'm still in the middle. Like, how do I know I can get through? And I would just remind myself, like, just, like there's no other option. You're not going to the hospital. Like that's not something you're doing. Your body can do this. And honestly, like getting through it, I was like, that wasn't even that bad. Like it wasn't that bad. Like it really wasn't that bad at all. I would do it again and again.
Wow. After birthday. Okay, guys, just to get some context. Okay, Brittany literally just went and her baby was born.
Yeah, so when things got intense, I did this breathing that was like I heard that, no, in one of the birth stories I read, and that stuck out to me, like, what is it called? Blowing raspberries? Is that what they say children do? But it was like that there's no way to do that. Something like that. There's no way for your cervix to stay closed if you're breathing like that. So in my mind, when it would just get super intense, I'd be like, I want my cervix to open. I'll just blow out like that. That's the most I did when it got like intense. And it helped with the intensity, I feel like. But yeah, I'm gonna share my birth video soon. I'm trying to get it together. And I want to post that and talk more, like go more into detail. I've still been trying to process it. Overall, it was fun. Like I enjoyed the journey. Like I enjoyed the day, like the way the day flowed. I really loved the way the day flowed. It was a beautiful day. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it soon.
You're a beautiful person. Wow.
Oh.
To witness that was so remarkable. Like even Ziggy will take your surrender class, you know, like we just think about that sometimes, like, wow, like, are you even surrendering right now? You know, out
Yeah,
of this world.
I don't know. But yeah, when I share the video with y'all, y'all see. Yeah.
And for me, preparing for, I guess you can say, birth, I was also doing this doula class through the Mothership Network. So I feel like naturally, like I was just being a doula and checking in with myself through those classes, you know, and like you being a birth worker and seeing births, right? Like I feel like being in that type of work prepared you, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and another reason, that's why I felt so comfortable. I was so excited for this birth. Like I was just like, I can't wait to be able to be like birthing again, because I'm gonna see it differently than my first. Where my first, I learned so much from. I had did my doula training, but then it was I hadn't been to any births yet. I don't think I had been to births like that had happened, like my friends and like before in the hospital, but I hadn't been to any births like natural births or home births yet when I had my birth. So like just seeing how they were and just like going through that whole process and then actually being at birth, like when I was pregnant, when I got pregnant with him, I was like, yes, I can't wait to do this. Like, you know, like excited. And so I know all women aren't there yet where they're like excited to just be home by themselves. Like some of it still gets, like some moms still get anxiety. Whoa, you're loud. I like your voice. I love your voice. They're excited to do like a natural birth, but they may still get a little bit of anxiety, like to birth at home. And so that's the kind of thing, like I want these conversations to just remind women, like it's really simple. It's really, really simple. You know, it is and it's not at the same time, but it can be simple. Just prepare yourself, listen to people who maybe find like some birth videos like this where you have women that's talking about their home birth experiences. Yeah, keeping the right people around. And, you know, over time, once you're like making that like your constant, yes, baby, it'll seem okay. Like all of it'll go away, fear will go away, and you'll be pushing your baby out at home with just you and your partner, maybe a doula, you know. And you know, even if, like I said, even if having a midwife like that is your comfort, right? Like that's where you are right now, or having an OB, being informed and knowing the things that you really want, the things that you don't want, and being able to say like, being able to stand in what you really want and not letting anybody like, you know, bully you into anything really. So yes, I can't remember.
So what you did to prepare for this was meal trains, preparing for your 40-day hiatus, your Lotus birth, you bought herbs and whatnot. And so what did you do to prepare for having another child and being pregnant, like through your hiatus? You know, bed rest, like what did you do with your baby?
So after you saying like after birth, what did I do during that time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
like with your toddler, because I'm sure like, yeah.
Oh yeah, so he spent a lot of time with his dad, but a lot of it was just spent like talking to him. So like just talking to him and still reading his books, talking to him about what had just happened. And he missed it because he wasn't here, but I let him see on my phone the video of the baby going out, and he watched it like 3 times back to back, like just on his own. He was like, "Oh, so the baby he came out your body now?" Like just trying to process what happened. So I did a lot of talking to him about that, and just like he was seeing me do things I had not, like he was just seeing my body be different. Like he was seeing me wearing underwear, and he was like, "Why you know, I don't usually wear underwear." He's like, "Why are you wearing that?" And like, um, why why are you putting that on? Like when he would see me putting a pad on, because we kind of like just move around the room freely, and he sees a lot. So he was just asking me questions about my body, like, why are you putting that on? Like, what are these new things to see you wearing on your body? And just, explaining to him, like, he came out of my body. My body is having a little bit of blood because that's what happens when the baby comes out. So he would say, "Oh," so then the next time he would see me, like, you're wearing that because the baby pushed out and the baby made your body bleed. And so I was just doing a lot of like teaching him and talking to him and reminding him that, like, my body is healing, but after some time we'll get back to our normal schedule. And then a lot of time with the baby, we spent most time together. Just talking to him about the sounds he's hearing, his brother, his dad, like what's going on in the house. And he came out to this certain song playing, and it was playing a lot during my labor. And so when he came for like the first 2 weeks, I would just play the song like to ease him into this reality that he came into, like, help to make that gentle. And then for a fine, we just did a lot of, that's my husband. We talked a lot before. Like I just made him aware of like what's gonna actually be happening, like what I'm gonna need help with, and just kind of preparing him for like just that time with Kamala, where usually we have like split time where I'm home with Kamala all day and doing like the homeschooling stuff. And then he gets like some hours after coming from work. But like I was like, okay, he needs to do these things, he needs to eat these things, like just get ready for, so that they have their own flow and their own things that they do. But I was like, just not to bring them off of like certain things. This is what we're used to doing. So just kind of getting him ready to be there. And then like checking in with him during that postpartum time, checking in with Ifeanyi to see like what he needed to be able to support both of us. Well, all of us, and support me in my breastfeeding journey. So yeah, that's what I found. A lot of talking and a lot of like just checking in on both of them. And like once I knew that they were okay, like I was able to be like in a more peaceful, calm state, like back here in the room with the new baby.
Nice. And since you were on bed rest, I would assume that Lotus birth went easy for you then, like not a lot of moving, like from one room to the
Yeah,
next and whatnot, one hand to the next, like giving it to other people, so.
yeah. And then we didn't have people like, for us here, we don't have, I feel like the main people who are usually so excited about holding a baby and doing all that stuff is like your family, like your mom, the grandmas, the grandpas. And so neither one of us have family living here, which is, it has its ups and downs. Like the ups is that like postpartum, well, it was like up and down, yeah, because I kind of wanted my mom to be like helping us keep the house clean. But as far as like being here trying to hold the baby and doing all these things, like I was so happy, like we don't have anybody to worry about. If my sister friends were coming to drop something, they already knew because they did Lotus birth, so they're not even like, worried about that. So for us, it was pretty simple. It was easy. Just with Kamalo jumping around the bed, it got to be like a little like worrisome, just like him jumping on it. But it was pretty straightforward. I think the third day, it got really hard and stiff, and moving him around started getting like, all right, I'm ready for this to detach. And so so it was dried up. It was hanging by like this little slimy piece. So of course I didn't want to pull that. So I used this beeswax candle that I had made, and we burned it to like detach the dry piece. And then I think the next day, the part that we left fell off. So it was really like 4 days. But I really enjoyed dressing it. Like I got excited when it was time to like clean it, change it. And the very first one me and Kamalo did together, which was fun. Like it was fun to do that with him. Just him being like, taking the herbs off. He's like, this is the placenta. Like he was excited to do that. And y'all like that. And it's really not a lot. It's not. I kept it wrapped. I did find that like keeping it in the basket, a lot of people get baskets for it. I found just keeping it wrapped in a cloth was easier. Like just wrapped in the pad. And then like I put this fabric on the outside of it. That was easier to just move around the bed. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. How was y'all? How was it with having it with Zoe? That was my main thing, was like the jumping around and like it jumps on it, and boys are just, I don't know, maybe boys are just a lot.
I did a Lotus birth with Zoe for the first time, and his grandpa like did not know anything about Lotus births or anything. So he's like ready to like take Zoe, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
and like the basket with him. And he's like, what is this? And I was just like, that's his placenta. And he was like, what? But he just looked at the baby and he's like, what? Like, who are your parents? What are they doing to you, But after that, we just decided we're not going to be like around people. We're just going to like rest until it dries off, and then we'll like, show him to the family and whatnot. But this time with Into, and also having another baby, surprisingly, it went well. Surprisingly. And with him, we actually did not see anyone at all, like no family, nothing, no friends, until like his umbilical cord dried off. So it was really good. And we were sleeping on the floor as well. So we had no bouncing bed with like a pillow top, like, so like if he did jump, because he was jumping on the bed, he was, but like there was no springs, thank God. Now there's springs, the bed that we have now. And like he definitely wakes up the baby, I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
But it went well. So I'm like, wow, like he'll be jumping on the bed. I'm like, oh yes, I love this bed. Like it doesn't move or anything. So that was nice.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Lotus birth. And I think it also just, I don't know, I just loved seeing him like sleep peacefully with it. I think that helped him with his transition here too, like having that still close to him. Yeah, like I think that all makes a difference. When I think about babies being born and how they just take the placenta so fast. Like, first of all, they say 6 minutes, which is like, okay, that's maybe the bare, like the minimum time they should give. But they say that like, oh, 6 minutes and after it stops. But a lot of times when I see births happen, they don't even give it 6 minutes. They are like, oh, it stopped pulsating. Are you okay for me to clamp it now? Like you can say no. Like, no, let the baby get all the time. Let your placenta come out of your body, first of all, before doing any of that. And yeah, I think the baby really does benefit from it, honestly. Yeah, and asking them for permission. I don't know if I said this before, like ask them, like, check for their response. If you talk to them and tell them like your placenta, I'm going to detach it. Like if you decide to detach it, that's what I'm going to do. Like, are you okay with me taking your placenta now? Giving thanks to the placenta before you do it, or, taking care of your baby inside and doing the work that the placenta did before just like cutting it with this thing and just acting like it's a piece of trash, And for me, it was really important. Like for Lou, we did fire, we used candles. And for this one, I had made like these beeswax candles because I was like, in case we don't decide to do it, I wanted to like even create what I was going to use to detach it. Like I don't know, the scissors and like the metal on the placenta just creep me out. And so yeah, just being mindful of like everything, like all the energy that everything holds and like what you're going to use for like on your baby. And then lotus births are really not that stressful. Like some people are like, oh, I don't know, it's this big thing. And it's like, it's really not that bad. And it looks so beautiful when you put the herbs on it. I had so much fun, like just some days when I was in here, I like put the diffuser on and just have our room like nice and clean and just look at him and his pretty, beautiful placentas just like laying there with herbs on it. And I just birthed this baby. Like it's such a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Ooh, and I seen that you also prepared for a yoni steam after your birth.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So that was one of the things I put on my meal train. Like, so it was a meal train. I forgot what it was called, like a meal train plus. But basically you can just put on there what you need help with. So I put on there that I would need help with like food. And then if my sister friends can stop by and help me set up my yoni steam. Like Ifani was here to help me do it, but some day, I don't even know if he helped me with one. I can't remember. He did my herb bath, but it was just like, it was nice to have somebody to come just set it up and then he can just have that little time, like, because it's a simple thing, but just to like, okay, I'm going to make Lou's dinner and then get in the shower and then I'll come set up your steam. Whereas like you and Lou can just chill. My sister friend's coming over. She's going to set up my steam. So I put that as part of the things that I needed help with. And so I just had the herbs in the house and I had actually find to pick me up some spring waters, like the gallons. And they were in the house. So all my sister friends had to do was like come in, pour the water in the pot, like get it ready, come set it up. And I can literally just go from the bed to the pot, to the steam stool, and then get up and go to bed. So I really love that. Like it was so, just the way it flowed was so nice. Like she would come, I think my sister friend did it twice. One of them, Dariana, she would message me like, hey, is this time okay? And then she would bring me like extra thing, like socks, like warm socks to remind me to keep on. She'd bring me like a pair of socks when she came. And I would just tell her like in the evening it would be better because I could take my shower and get ready. And that way when she came for it, I steamed and then went straight to bed. And it was like, you sleep so good. And so for that, I order herbs in bulk most of the time. So I just have herbs in the house and I would just tell her like, just mix these particular herbs or whatever. So, but that's the thing that even your mom or whoever you would have close living by you that may be your support, your friends, just they can even quick YouTube it and just see like how to do it for you. Come boil the herbs, set it up for you. You could do your steam because it's so good for you. It's so good. Like my body felt so good afterwards. But yeah, I didn't do yoni steams after Lou. I think I did one. My midwife came and set up one for me. And then after that, it was just like, it's so many other things you can be doing with your day. Like you could just forget about that type of thing. So this birth, I wanted to really practice like my herb baths and yoni steams. So I made sure to like, I just totally find like how important it was to me. Like, I need to take a bath. I would like you to get my herb bath ready, please. And he would just already like had a little way of doing it fast. And when my friend showed up to do the herb, like the yoni steams, he would just be like, put the stuff out so they can see it. And yeah, I really appreciated that. And I would definitely say, like prepare for that as part of your afterbirth time. Yeah.
Yes, I feel like you had everything covered, everything. So I feel like you should do a checklist, or anyone who's watching this and need validation with like what they need exactly, message Brittany, like she got you.
Yeah. Some of the stuff comes and you're like, didn't expect it. Even with all that help I got, I still felt some days like we need more. Like, and the only more we could have had is like something that like a grandma would do, like just be in the house and like they just want to be cleaning up everything. Like I feel like that's what the one last thing we needed or would have appreciated. But our families, like because of all that was going on, like it was so much to fly. And I think our baby just was like, we're good with just us, like just appreciate what we do have, because we really had good support this time. And it helped me really see like what support moms can use during their afterbirth. So I can't wait to like get back to birth and like do some of that. So yeah, but definitely prep. And I just saw like this time just the importance of prepping um everything, especially for postpartum. So yeah, like just checking in, message if you have a question about like how to prep or what to prep, or if you're thinking about certain things and you're just like, I don't know, like just check in. Because I also don't like a whole bunch of extra stuff. Like I'm very simple. So it was like some things I didn't care about. Like he was born, I think just the other week, I was like, we can't go anywhere. He doesn't really have outside clothes. Like all I really cared about was like making myself stay home. So he had onesies and like diapers. And then when it was time to like go out, I'm like, wait, we don't have any clothes, like clothes to really wear out. And Lou was born in the summer, and we're in New Orleans, so he was always in a diaper, like either a diaper or onesie was all we could take him out in because he would sweat so much, or just a diaper, like no shirt. So having a like winter time baby was a little different. I was like, wait, what do we do? Like, so yeah. But yeah, definitely prep and what to do. Yeah. And we did, so at this point, no, I have not taken my baby out to be looked at by anybody. I feel like for me, and I can go more into depth about that, like if you have questions about it, because I know some people have asked, like, they've asked me, like, when did you take the baby to the doctor? Like with Blue, we waited 2 weeks. I remember I wasn't excited about, like, I wasn't in a rush, like, oh, somebody has to see my baby. Like, I knew he was okay, but I went with that, like, that first doctor appointment just because I felt like this is just what you do. You have to take your baby to the doctor. Where, like in the last 2-3 years, I've just learned a lot. It's like, no, you don't. Like, I don't want to take my baby to that type of environment. And if I feel like he needs to go, like if I felt like it was something that was like an emergency or something, maybe he would go. But there hasn't been a reason. I do plan to take him to a chiropractor just to get like aligned. I believe like that's okay. So at some point I'll take him there, but I haven't done that, and the baby's fine and healthy. And I feel like that's another kind of thing of like, even my mom the first few weeks was like, so you haven't taken him out to the doctor yet? And I'm like, no. So then she started doing this thing where she would call and be like, okay, let me see him. Let me see his belly button. Let me see this. And she's like, oh, he looks good. And I'm like, he doesn't need to go to the doctor to be okay. Like, there's really a lot that you as a mom will know, especially if you're not a first time mom. Like you'll know for sure, like that your baby's okay by watching the way they breastfeed. Their body's gonna tell you if something's off just the same way your body would tell you. So if you're having this feeling like how I did, like I really just don't want to go to the doctor, I don't want to take my baby there. It's okay. Like feel that way, but Don't feel judged. Don't feel like, oh, I'm not having my baby's best interest. Yeah. And I think you were the same way. You take into.
Yeah, I actually got an affidavit from my family doctor. And honestly, I love my family doctor. So like I actually didn't see him the whole pregnancy or anything. I just showed him the birth video. I was like, yeah, so we just gave birth to him. And he's like, oh wow, okay. But I feel like it was more of a like a check-in, you know, like, hey, how are you? We're still doing rebel-ish, you know, like yeah, because we had him with Zoe as well, and he was even telling us like ways that we can like check the baby, you know, like um if he is autistic, if he has jaundice, if he has all these other things, you know, like this is what you can look out for, you know, like you don't need me to see the to know this. You don't need other doctors to know this, you know? So that's what I loved about him. Like he taught us to teach ourselves, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's beautiful to
I
have
can
somebody who practices like that. Yeah. So I started drinking that. I was almost done. Me and my friends were saying like it would be beautiful. It was like the standard practice was just like really just holistic midwives and like doctors who weren't like oh, you need to come see me for this, and oh, you need to get the shot, you need to do this, you need to, you know, like just teach me some real stuff. Like what kind of herbs can I take? What are some things I can do at home, you know, for like some natural remedies, or, you know, don't make me feel like I have to rely on you to come check on my baby. Like if I hear some funny breathing, like that I have to bring my baby to you, like just tell me what do I need to check for. Um, so I know that I think there are definitely still some people out here that work like that. You just have to be, and another thing, you'll attract them. Like your energy, that's why you have that doctor, you know, in you guys' lives. And I feel like you do like attract those type of, you can go into this medical system and we could say all these things about the medical system, which it is those things, but you still can attract you know, maybe a holistic nurse you get that day. I might be working that day and it's like, yeah, you don't really need to do this. Like, you know, telling you the real stuff on the on the other side of it. So yeah, just also if you have to go, and I think another conversation I'll do is like when you have had to go, because I've went into the hospital system before for two like, well, yeah, for two crazy emergency things that happened with Lou, and just being like attracting just what I needed for that experience. So going in with a certain energy, making sure you kind of like speak protection over yourself before you enter. And when you go, you'll have a pleasant experience. They don't all have to be like these super traumatic, like, you know, I got this crazy nurse and this crazy doctor who was trying to do this to me. You know, your ancestors are still with you, and you just have to be just informed and know like, I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that, you know, like not going in and just feeling like you're on their turf. You have to do everything that they say. Um, Yeah. So birth, I always say it's it's simple. It's such a simple thing. And in the same sentence, like it's a lot of work. And so I'm
It's
excited to
so
put out.
simple.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, it's so simple. You don't have to think about it.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, I don't know. What else is there? I feel like we went over everything unless we get like, I feel like if anyone has more specific questions, just reach out, ask. Like I said, you can, there's Facebook groups you can look up. There are, you know, if you have doulas in your area, if you want to link with one of us, you can email or message. And Like I said, I love educating or doing talks with moms about home birthing or just natural birth period and navigating that whole thing. So I'd be happy to talk with you about it and how we prepped. Yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you so much for tuning in with us in our talks about birth, motherhood, sisterhood, being there for each other. So, like Brittany said, if you need anyone to talk to, message either one of us.
Yes. All right. Peace, y'all.